Come to order. Welcome to the special City Council meeting, City of Bel Air Beach, Monday, March 23rd. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Mark Bean.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Gaddis.
Here.
Councilmember Rita Swope. Here. Vice Mayor Glenn Gunn.
Here.
Mayor Joseph Manzo.
Here.
City Manager Lynn Reeves.
Here.
City Attorney Fred Riley.
Here.
And Councilmember Robin Aki and Jody Shirley are not present.
Okay, thank you. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to go over two provisions which are related to the pandemic that is gripping the nation and the county and state right now. Number one is consideration of Resolution 2020-03. It's an emergency resolution of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, confirming the mayor's declaration of a state of emergency due to the coronavirus pandemic, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for confirmation of the mayor's declaration of a state of emergency, providing for emergency powers and authority, providing for activation of emergency management plans, providing for repeal of state of emergency declaration, providing for violations of state of emergency resolution, providing for the city clerk to provide resolution to media, and establishing an effective date. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mark Bean, second?
Second.
Dave Gaddis, second. I've been behind this with most of the city manager stuff. If you want to defer to me, I'll give you a background. If not, you have the floor.
I yield.
Thank you. The reason why we've done this is I've been in touch with the city manager on a daily basis for approximately the last 2 weeks. Approximately a week and a half ago, I offered him the option of a state of emergency declaration for the city. I didn't feel that we needed to implement the actual detailed provisions of this, but the important thing was to have it ready should it become necessary to implement it at a moment's notice. He declined up until last Friday. We have been in touch every single day, and at last Friday he did feel that it was worthwhile to do it. So at 12 noon last Friday, I signed the emergency declaration. That gives in a nutshell, it gives him the emergency plans. It also gives certain abilities so he can hire staffing if necessary, temporary staffing without coming through council, spending certain amounts of money without coming through council. He can declare parts of our city off limits before the county went and declared the beaches off limits. That was a consideration that he and I were discussing. Would it be necessary? Would it not be necessary? So shutting down parking lots, things like that. Thank God so far we've not had anyone in the city afflicted with this, but obviously if they are, then greater controls might be necessary, similar to what we've seen in other cities around the country. So our code calls for the mayor in conjunction with the city manager to make that declaration. That was made Friday, and then within 2 days the city council has to affirm that declaration. So I'm asking, and I think the city manager will also ask that you affirm that. It's a 7-day rolling declaration here. It will continue until we bring it back, and the council has the ability to bring it back, or the mayor has the ability to bring it back. I don't think, city manager, you've used any provisions of it yet, right? No, but it's there in case you do need it. So that's the gist of this, and we'll open it up for discussion. Any discussion?
It automatically renews.
Every 7 days. And then if we can, you can pull it back as a council, I can pull it back as mayor. As I said to Lynn, obviously, there's a lot of responsibility with this. I'm sure he's going to use it wisely. I don't think we'll have any reason to pull it back. But if he starts condemning $2 million houses, we might want to have a conversation or something. So there is some real heavy powers here. But again, they will be used wisely, I'm sure. Any other questions?
The only thing I'm questioning is some of the rental properties they have on the beach. They're still being rented, I assume. I've seen a lot of cars out there. Is that going to impact us? Do they have any provisions there that they have in place in case someone gets sick? Or are they checking where these people are from?
Not that I know of. City manager is shaking his head, no, not that we know of. So, my criteria here, and I just mentioned to Glenn Gunn, I said, city manager and I have been working very closely, very well, I think, together. And, he picked this when it was absolutely necessary. And I said, even if he didn't pick it, I would have unilaterally picked this if somebody in our city got afflicted with this. I think if someone gets afflicted with this, then we can look into stronger means, and that's when we can start declaring parts of the city off limits and what have you. But right now, I don't think we have to. My feeling personally is we don't have to do that right now.
Can you stop short-term rentals under this?
I guess that would be a legal question.
I mean, under the guise of, yeah, you don't know who's
Who's
coming
coming
in the
in,
city,
yeah.
where they're from. I mean, it's one thing having full-time residents live here, but I mean, if people are just passing through, they're coming down from New York City because they've got a lockdown in New York City, they're coming to Florida. I mean, do you have some sort of legal basis to restrict that short-term rentals?
I wouldn't recommend you do that at this point.
No, I understand that, but I mean, if at some point, do you have a legal basis to do it?
Well, it's like,
I mean, I'll take your recommendation on advisement, I'm just wondering if that is there as part of the
Well,
emergency.
the emergency powers that are enumerated in 4-33 list out various things you can do, but when you start, I mean, I've always said Bel Air Beach is a unique city in one respect in that you don't have commercial and retail, so you're not going to do anything that affects a commercial or retail business. Having said that, if you do that sort of a measure, I think it's arguable whether you're overreaching based on the powers that are in the code provision. It's something we'll look at. Up until today, I didn't look at it.
I mean, is it a reasonable question?
It is a reasonable question.
Absolutely reasonable question.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't have a 1,000% correct answer.
No,
for
I'm
you.
just raising it.
My feeling would be, before you ever get to that point, you would need to be enacting the other powers such as a curfew, for instance. That's to me, not that it's a preliminary measure, but it's a measure that you would implement before you took that extreme kind of measure. With the emergency management stuff, a lot of the things, and this, if you don't mind discussing it a little bit, one of the things that we've been looking at are the various executive orders that have come from the governor, and there's, county-wide measures that are being taken, and those are, I won't say changing every day, but they've kind of run in a wave that keeps going, and, just saying it honestly, before the end of the week, you may find out that you basically have to stay home in Pinellas County or the state of Florida. And I'm just saying, as a legal matter, we're in many ways uncharted water, and if it becomes necessary and that represents a problem, then I would really look hard at it. And the next measure that the mayor's going to take up relates to meetings, and what we tried to do was put in place a mechanism so you could have remote meetings, and due to some executive order and an attorney general opinion, you're going to be able to have that if you have a real critical need to have something like that. But your question is fine. I just don't have a great answer for you today. And my answer would really be, if it's going to represent a serious problem to the health, safety, and welfare, then it's something we should look at in the immediate future.
And we can give, and we will give great, and it's been my guiding principle since the get-go, and I've said this to the city manager in writing, that our goal is going to be the safety of our citizens, and that's the primary and only goal. So if it became an issue and there's beach parties going on, I don't care that the county hasn't maybe banned that. We can take a step further if necessary to declare that area off limits. Again, I don't think right now we have a need for it, but if that need so arises, then it will be done. And I think as long as we're acting, this is my feeling as an attorney, but not as city attorney, as long as we're acting in the best interest of our citizens and can justify it, I think go ahead, challenge it if you wish, but we're going to err on the side of caution on this one. So.
I would think that just closing the beaches. That took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah.
There's no incentive to come here anymore. Restaurants are closed, beaches are closed. I think once the last few stragglers are out of here, they're not going to come back.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and the sheriff, the sheriff is telling people to get off the beach. He's not arresting them because over the weekend, there were people on the beach at various locations, mainly at that end of town, not up in this area.
Yeah, there was.
You know,
They were
but-
using the showers.
yeah, but I'm saying minimalistic. This morning, when we did the trash, there were like 50 people walking on the beach. But I think that's because people from the condos are leaving, and the parking lots are getting emptier. So, but at this point, that's the sheriff's plan. He's told his deputies that's what you can do.
He's publicly announced that, I know that, he's went public on it.
The reason I brought that up is the hotels are closed down. So what's motel, hotel? You know, do they have the same requirements you would think they should have?
And I mean, I said this to Lynn the other day, you know, you see some stuff, and I see some stuff, and everyone else in the city sees things. So if you see stuff, let everyone know, and, you know, because we may not see a problem that, I don't know what's going on at Morgan. I'm not going up there to check it out, but I can tell you on 6th Street, I can see that from my window, and I will. You know, but nothing major, no real major problems. But if we see abuse of it, then we'll curb it as a council. We're going to protect the citizens of the city, period. That's what I'm going to do, and I would think everybody else will do the same.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because you don't know where those people are coming from.
I agree.
You know, it could be anywhere in the country or out of the country. You would never know.
But I think Councilman Gaddis has it. They're slowly trickling out and going away. There's no real incentive. And if they reopen the beaches in 2 weeks and we start to see an influx, then we may have to take. Lynn and I spoke about this the other day about closing off parking lots and stuff, and what could we do? We were going to be a lot less restrictive than what we wound up with there. That was our recommendation, was maybe just to close Morgan and leave the other lots open so that our residents could use it, and even a few outsiders on Morgan. But then they went and closed everything, so that took care of that.
Well, my point is to ask the question before it gets to be an issue, then we got to research it. And then the other thing is, I'm not just talking about the onesies, twosies, rolling houses that are short-term rentals. You say there's no commercial, but these resorts are basically short-term rentals. People are coming in and renting a week at a time or a day at a time or whatever. And so it's not just a half a dozen rolled single-family dwellings. I mean, you've got like 2 or 3 large areas that people are coming in. Just asking the question. Thank you.
Greg, you'll look into it then, within the next week or so. Thanks. Do we have any other council questions? Audience, citizens? Okay, back to Marv, you made the motion, you have the last word.
No, I just, Fred is going to look into it and find out what we can do. And if it's a problem, it's going to be taken care of. Fine.
And let me just mention too, just because maybe everyone's not as familiar with it as I, if the council needs to call a special meeting, you need 3 people on the council, approximately, we'd like to give 24 hours notice. We have an actual discrepancy Fred found this morning in speaking with me. There's a discrepancy between our charter and the ordinance. One says 12 hours, one says 24. So we want to shoot for 24 hours, which we've historically done. You can call an emergency meeting. Any council member, mayor, vice mayor can call an emergency meeting on basic reasonable notice, okay? An emergency is life limb, okay? If you found out that the block you live on just became a hot spot, call the emergency meeting. But an emergency meeting isn't stuff that can wait 24 hours. It's that simple. So anyone can call that, just so everyone's aware, if necessary. If there's no other comments, I'm going to take it to a vote. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Bean,
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say, let me read the whole question again, just to keep this official. So we're voting on consideration of Resolution 2020-03, an emergency resolution of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, confirming the mayor's declaration of a state of emergency due to the coronavirus pandemic, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for confirmation of the mayor's declaration of a state of emergency, providing for emergency powers and authority, providing for activation of emergency management plans, providing for repeal of state of emergency declaration, providing for violations of state of emergency resolution, providing for the city clerk to provide resolution to media, and establishing an effective date. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis.
Aye.
Councilmember Swope,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
Aye, it passes 5-0. Second item of business is the consideration of Resolution 2020-04. There's been a slight amendment. I'm going to have the city attorney tell us that, but that is an emergency resolution of the city of Bel Air Beach, Florida, responding to the coronavirus emergency, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for emergency management actions relating to city council meetings, and establishing an effective date. City attorney, would you please, with the, everyone got a copy as of this, well, there's one sent around this morning, there was one sent around Friday, and then I understand you've had a slight change, so if you'll just bring us up to date on the current state of affairs on this.
The slight change is in section 2, letter D. I'll read the whole thing. The change is, I'll just read the whole thing. Consistent with section 2-53 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, emergency meetings of the City Council to address emergency management issues related to the state of emergency may be held on the call of any member of the City Council upon timely notice to each member of the City Council and the public. So the change is any member of the City Council, and that is consistent with what's in section 2-53.
And you changed on the front the adoption, first paragraph in the first whereas, by adoption of emergency resolution number 2020-01 should be 2020-03, correct? That was the other one
That's
we spoke
correct.
about? Okay. That was just, he was referencing the original state of emergency, you just ratified that, so it's 2020-03 is what we're referencing here. So as that is amended, do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion?
I should have asked it on the first one. Can you explain providing for incorporation of recitals? I'm not familiar.
These are the recitals, these whereas clauses, let's just bring it right in. Correct, City Attorney?
I didn't hear what the.
He asked what the incorporation of recitals was. I said the recitals are your whereas clauses that were just put in legally. This resolution simply states that we're going to skip our next council meeting, postpone it, and we're going to have council meetings. Basically, you could have an emergency one, but more than likely, we'll just have a special council meeting. We're authorizing the city manager. The governor has given us permission, and all the city's permission to work via telephone. So we're going to look into telephones. He tried something on the charter review. Didn't work so great, but I think there's other solutions. Fred and I were speaking about Zoom and GoToMeeting. I know I've used GoToMeeting on continuing education. You used Zoom on another issue the other night. So city manager, if you can get that set up, because this really should be the last time we meet until they get a handle on this thing.
Yeah, we used GoToMeeting the other night, but now we figured out we need to put these mics, if there's a public, because we still have to allow the public to speak.
Correct.
And we're trying to figure out a way to do that, but we don't have to do anything in here. But if we'd had these mics down here and a mic at the phone, it wouldn't have been an issue with the GoToMeeting.
So I was thinking about that, and basically, the best way to do that is to have every council member on a device
Right.
of some sort, not here.
Right.
And then whenever the public comes to speak, they basically walk up and address the speakerphone. They'll be able to hear us, we'll be able to hear them. But as far as anything else goes, there's no other good combination to allow the public to speak.
And if your thing doesn't work, I use a free conference call, which I routinely have 5 and 6 people. I've never used 10 people, but I know it can handle it. What Dave Gaddis was just talking about, if you have that phone over there and that's the person calling in from here, you let one person at a time into the building, and the 8 and the 7, well, the 10 of us are scattered throughout, or the 9 of us are scattered throughout, I think it would work. The key is we just have to talk at one person at a time.
Yeah, because if you put out the GoToMeeting code to the public,
Forget it.
you'd be asking for
Now you'll blow it away.
Yeah, because they can talk over you.
Right.
There is some control that you can do, but it's, I mean, Kyle and I have looked into it. The best solution is to say, okay, we're gonna have a meeting, we'll set that up with a microphone, and this is where they would come to make public comments. They won't see you, but they'll hear you.
And the best way too, if we are speaking remotely, is to identify yourself when you're speaking. So, Joseph Manzo, and then say your thing, because this keeps that record clear. Because some people know our voices, some do not. So that would be the easiest way to do it. We'll also keep it easier when we're trying to figure out, for the minutes and stuff like that, who said what.
So just to clarify, if the council has a meeting over the next month, we will, actually 5 weeks, we will send you a go-to meeting invite, and then for a certain time, you'll dial into that number.
Does this include any other meetings other than just council meetings?
Charter review.
This resolution is mainly
Just for
for council
council.
meetings. Yeah,
So how do
but
we,
if, I think we've got that corrected. If someone doesn't want to come here, I would assume, even though the governor's thing said council meetings, I think, committee meetings would still fall under that.
Well, the governor issued an executive order, and it related to meetings of local government bodies. So I
we
would
should
say
be
that
fine.
that includes the various committees.
It's
that you
meetings in
now
general,
have.
yeah.
Although you still have to do the same procedures so that they're able, the public's able to participate.
In my opinion, I attended the last one telephonically, as did Jody Shirley. We should strongly discourage an in-person meeting at this point in time. There's just no reason. That charter review committee is on the verge of being finished, and I don't see any reason why we don't have to be together.
No,
It's not worth risking your life for. And this council isn't going to consider the result anyway for at least another month. So-
Well, that's why I say, for the public, that's our only solution. So I'll talk to Stan tomorrow, and anybody that wants to not come to the meeting that's on the charter review, just let us know, we'll send you a code.
And you'll let people in basically one at a time, and so they'll line up outside, they'll bring them in, they'll speak, and then they'll leave, and the next person, okay. And you'll let us know when you've filled the line then, because we won't know if we're on the other side. That'll work. Anybody else have any questions on council?
I don't think we had anybody at the charter, did we?
I don't think so. Not the last meeting.
I don't think so.
I didn't hear anyone.
No, I don't think we had anyone, so.
Citizens' comments?
Have we explored all avenues of this as far as trying, because if you let the public in, are we exposing our employees?
We have to let the public in because of the sunshine. The governor was real clear about that the meetings still have to be done in accordance with the sunshine. So that telephone is the way to do it. They would come up here, as we just talked about, Lynn stages them outside, they come here, they speak into the phone, and then they leave. They get 3 minutes, and that's, they can listen on their telephone, or however.
No, they-
no, they can't. They won't be able to, otherwise we'd have to share the code with them.
How are we gonna do it? How do they get the ability to listen then?
That's it, right there.
My recommendation, and I actually wrote a letter to the governor or his assistant, and it was basically as far as we know how to give the public a voice. However, we can't give them real time and be safe. So GoToMeeting actually records the meetings if you want to record it. So my thoughts were, you have the meeting, you invite your guest in one at a time to speak. Whenever the meeting's done, immediately you turn that over and publish it online, so that now there's a copy of the meeting. That's the best case scenario of keeping everyone safe, and I did not receive a response from that email.
Do you have a PA system?
Well, this is the PA.
No, but I'm talking about something that would reach outside, or even into the hallway. What I'm thinking is you could have, we've dialed in, but that, you could have an open
if we
speaker
need-
phone that you dial in on, put a microphone next to it, and people could be listening in the hallway, they would be spread out, as long as you have a
Honestly,
speaker.
my thoughts are, you're going to be lucky if you get 3 people here.
I agree.
I would say you scatter a few chairs around and just encourage people to stay away from one another and remind them as the meeting begins. and probably 2 or 3 times throughout the meeting.
So
And that's all we can do.
It's a working process, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we tried the other night with the one thing, then you got it the second night and it worked, so, I mean, we'll see what happens. I
Yeah.
agree, I don't think you're gonna get 50 people showing up. These are emergency measures that we're dealing with, they're not, we're not sitting and discussing, the earthworm memorial thing or something. This is key stuff, these are yes votes here, this is simple, so.
Dave, I got a question for you. When I saw on NBC, they had all of their head people on a TV screen blocked like in 8 different blocks. Is there any way that we could use our laptops or anything to do something like that?
You can, but honestly, it's, for the length of time and the amount of meetings we're having, I don't think it's worth it. You're gonna get a picture over voices, and you're gonna need upgraded software and a host, and probably some training for everyone involved. So, is it worth the expense and the trouble? It's up to this council, I guess. I'll be more than happy to look into it, but I never even considered video conferencing because I was thinking of boxer shorts and t-shirt meetings,
Well, it just, I don't know what would be involved in that, that's why I brought it up and pointed to you. Sorry about that. but-
No worries. I'll look into it, and I will send what I've found over to Lynn, and he can pass it on to everyone.
While we're all hoping that this is gonna be April and resolved, that may not be the reality based on a lot of stuff that I'm hearing and reading. So they're, trying not to panic everybody, but if this is cured by April, that would be a miracle. So we probably should be looking at something a little bit more longer term. This may be, I can see this going into the summer, and we do have certain business that needs to be done between now and then. So
That's why I brought it
yeah,
up.
and not to mention the fact that that budget is coming up. So, again, I'm sure there'll be relaxation of certain things, but who knows which ones that will be. Any other comments, audience, citizens, we're finished. Any other council comments? Mark, you have the last word?
No, I discussed what I thought with Dave, and, that's just an idea. Other than that, anybody else has anything? Lynn, are you okay?
Vice Mayor?
Just as an aside, if this thing runs, through the summer, what are the big impacts on city business management?
Well, city business, there's a lot of projects that we're getting ready to send out. We'll still do that, put them out to bid and things of that nature, get our stuff ready. I think for the council, the charter is an issue. All the committees, that's an issue. But that's not stuff that, other than the charter, that's not stuff that is time sensitive. As an example, the planning committee or the finance committee, there's nothing there that's time sensitive. So I think for now, we're fine.
Park grant has to be decided by June, I believe you said. So that is time sensitive, and we're gonna have to debate that. But, if we have this phone system working, that would lend itself to a debate if we have to. I mean, we have some flexibility, and maybe we can give it another month, but there's a point where we're gonna have to
No,
address that.
I would prefer we settle that in May, possibly.
I think so. I agree. The other thing I'm gonna say is, we're set for our next meeting. We have to have, if you need a special meeting, you're supposed to have 3 council members. Just get in touch with Lynn. Lynn, if you ask me for a special council meeting, I've never said no. So I can call it with one person instead of trying to get 3 people together. So it's gonna be, again, you know what's at stake here. Use it wisely. If you need it for a reason, it has to be done. Lynn already knows that if there's something he needs for the city, that's not within his powers or has to ratify, we're gonna get a meeting and get him whatever he needs to make sure this place keeps running. Any other comments, questions before we go to a vote?
Lynn, if there's something you need that I can help with.
Yeah, we're gonna, I'm gonna evaluate the employee situation a little bit. I might do a little flexibility with that, because some of the other cities are doing that. So we're not all here together, so.
When we talked about the flexing days and stuff like
Yeah.
that, yes, I think it's a good idea.
So, just so you know that may happen. Because if we get it, one of us, guess what? City's shut down.
If it's a safety issue with an employee doing some task somewhere in the city, it's usually better to have 2
Right.
employees. If that comes up, I wouldn't mind watching that person from a distance,
But,
you know,
you know,
in my
I
car or
would
whatever.
let employees do certain, I mean, if they're picking up trash, that's one thing, but if they're cutting tree limbs, no, it's not a one-person deal. So, we're fine, I just wanted to make you aware.
And obviously, Lynn, you're on the front line, but if you know of any cases in the city, let us know. I would think we will want to get together at that point and decide what our next step is. Again, Lynn has certain powers as the emergency director, but as I said to him, he doesn't have to go it alone. So we can ratify stuff through the council, we can give him more support. It also helps that, we're behind him, and if he's doing something that we're not behind, he'll know right away. But if we get a block testing positive, then, we may want to have a different approach to things over here. So hope to God we don't need this.
I'd also like to add that some people may very well be self-quarantining. That does not mean they're positive. So,
Let's talk about a positive test. You got a positive result, and, if we know about it, then we have to kind of up our end here.
The major thing is safety of all employees, as it's such a small staff. If anybody gets sick, God forbid, But I know I talked to Lynn about it. There are certain things you can do with the ventilation system in here that I hope you follow through. Filters and things of that nature that need to be addressed, better filters, UV lights in the system that kill germs. Those things very important. So, whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
Wise, we gotta do it.
Any other comments for council? Okay, so before the council is consideration of resolution 2020-04, an emergency resolution of the city of Delaware Beach, Florida, responding to the coronavirus emergency, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for emergency management actions related to city council meetings, and establishing an effective date. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Gaddis,
Aye.
Councilmember Swope, Vice Mayor Gunn,
Aye.
Mayor Manzo.
Aye, it passes 5-0. I've signed it, and both of these resolutions have now passed. City Manager, you have what you need to go forward here. And Fred Riley, you'll have to be signing these also, please, before you leave. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. And by the way, before we adjourn, thank you everyone for coming in tonight and making this sacrifice. This is major. It says volumes about your concern for the city. And I know the other people were at work and they couldn't do it. So we got a tremendous council. We're going to do everything we can to protect the citizens of this city. A motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned.